I think we now need to move along to Pip, who is our next speaker. So we will,
Can you hear me all right?
yes, we can hear you.
Well, good evening. Well done, Aidan. I have to say that mine is going to look very thin compared with your wonderful contribution this evening. And I've got some slides to show. But before we start, I want to make a special welcome to two of my friends who are with us tonight. Catherine Flatt, who's there, who's my bestie, and Sister Julian, who's there as well from Stanbrook, who I was at college with. And she will see in a minute that it was a good thing that she turned up tonight. Anyway, so I was asked to talk about what I do as a Rotarian, how this intersects with my faith, and my vocation as a layperson. And I'm not sure that I've ever thought about having a vocation as a layperson, so that's an interesting thought in itself. And I wanted to call this talk, something I heard on the radio the other day. I heard a quote: "You need the rain before you get to the beautiful rainbow." Internet, and I decided to add a bit to that, interconnecting points in my life. And there's been so many good or bad bits in my life, and light and darkness. So rain before the rainbow. I'm just going to do a share screen and share my slideshow, and you'll see the quote there. I'm just going to move the pictures over a bit. And this first slide is two pictures in one, with the rainbow combining them. And that's what I wanted, was the theme of the rainbow coming through both the Rotary Club, you'll see on the left-hand side, the logo at the top, and the lay community at the right-hand side. I could equally have included other things, but I'm sort of sticking to this and thinking about how my life, and I don't really like talking about what I do, so it's a bit odd in a way, but how caring for humanity weaves through the different points of my life. And I quite agree with Aidan about St. Benedict and being busy and having things to do. I don't think there's too much risk for me on that front of laziness, at least. This is a picture drawn by Sister Julian back in, I suppose, the early 90s. She might be able to tell me better than me. But what I didn't want to do was put a picture of my family up, because what I wanted to do was to situate my journey a bit. And well, Sister Julian's done this brilliantly here. The only thing she didn't include, because she wouldn't have known me at that point, was my family start. And imagine 1965, I'm hauled out of my first week at boarding school to go, and we were not allowed out overnight, by the way. I was at Shaftesbury, and I was hauled out overnight in my first week at boarding school and taken to London because it was going to be the celebration of my grandfather's 50 years of playing the organ at Farm Street. He later went on to get the papal knighthood as well. And the photograph, the only family photograph that we have, is taken at Farm Street, and it's a row of dog collars, my parents, my grandfather, and one uncle and aunt. So it's what I'm trying to say is that I've come from a family steeped in Catholicism, and it took me a long way to find my way in life, because I just took it for granted. So you'll see that there's quite interesting things in this little cartoon picture. My life at Digby Stewart. Sister Julian and I used to go on plain chant courses. It did her a lot of good. It hasn't done me any good, or not much anyway. And then there's the part of my life after I left Digby Stewart where I became a nun for a year. That's the RSCJ bit down there. And of course, it was either them or me after a year. So it was me that went, as I wasn't going to survive. And then I moved on to running mole conferences, mole tutors and things, because we lived in Molesey. So hence the picture. This is sort of situating. Oh, and there's a nice little down under sign because I've been down there a few times as well. So that's just to tell you about my early life. But when I finished being with the Society of the Sacred Heart, Margaret Adam, who was my novice mistress, she gave me two pieces of advice, both of which I didn't want to take. One was to go and get some counselling from the vocation sisters, and Sister Paula Foreman saw me for 4 years and put me back together again. And the second was to go to the lay community at Worth Abbey. And I told her I didn't want to do either of those things. So of course, in the end, I did do both of them, and it was amazing. Once I got to Worth, I was in quite a bad way after my life at my time in the Society of the Sacred Heart. But when I got to Worth that first weekend, I shared a bedroom certainly with Angela Jordan and possibly with Caroline Weir, stroke Brown. And I can only say that that weekend I found my tribe. And I want to just read something out of the walkabout from spring 2002 that Catherine Steele wrote. And this is all relevant. I'm not on a deviation here. It's about a new members' weekend. I'm not going to read you the whole article, obviously, but the final paragraph says, in the introduction to the weekend, we had each been asked what we were looking for when we came to Worth. I had said I was hoping to find my spiritual home. I went back to my family knowing that I had. And that is exactly how I felt when I read that article just a couple of weeks ago. I thought how fitting that was. So that was my first experience, really. And Worth gave me so much. And I'm glad to see that Nikki is here tonight to enjoy this picture. On the left-hand side, you will see Nikki Halpin giving Daphne Fuller, one of our widows, a shove up onto the Bluebell Railway. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a picture of the whole of the cruise bereavement holiday group from that year. And what I want to really say is that those early years in the lay community gave me so much that I could never have got from anywhere else. And I think Nikki would say the same. She probably will later. And I owe so much from those early days. So that was really, really my tribe. However, all this took its toll on me. And it was a very heavy burden coming from such a Catholic family, going back to those first comments I made. And that in the end exploded in me in the 80s. Until then, I think I'd taken my faith for granted in all that I've just said to you so far, including up to this time. And then in 1992, I realized, so in the late 80s, it all came crashing down around me when I realized I was gay. And I just had a complete breakdown about it. Can you imagine coming from everything in our entire family was completely Catholic and totally anti anything like that. It was really difficult. I did not hide it in the lay community, but it was difficult. And I think I probably struggled through until I met my life partner, Liz, who I met in 1992. And in 1994, I was at Worth. I think it might have been Easter, but I can't remember. One of the monks I was talking to said to me, do you know, Pippa, it is inappropriate for you to be here. You are embarrassing the abbot or the monastery or whatever. And, I'll leave the rest to your conclusions. It's history now. And it's not even true anymore anyway. But at that time, that Easter 1994, I remember driving away from Worth after Easter and thinking, I will never be back. And it was devastating for me because I'd lost my whole tribe, my whole community, what was so important to me. I didn't even know it was important to me in a way, but it was. And then in 1997, we moved to Brighton, where I was utterly miserable because I'd lost my lay community tribe. I'd lost my friends from Molesey, and we were a great community in Molesey, but we moved to Brighton so that we could look after um, our Liz's and mine grandchildren. Jessica was about 3 at the time when we moved to Brighton. No, 5, and they really needed our help. So that's why we went to Brighton. And I had no idea. I was completely lost. So at that point, I was invited by my accountant, not Chris Dobson, who's here tonight, who's my real original accountant, but the follow-on one who wasn't a patch on Chris, but did invite me to go to a Rotary meeting in Brighton, and I went to one. And it wasn't a love affair at first sight, but it gave me a tribe. It really gave me a tribe, and it really gave me a new start, and helped me to find my way, having lost so much community. So I'm not expecting most of you to know much about Rotary, so there's a little summary here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But what I do want to say is that Rotary is ultimately about service above self. It's not putting oneself first. And I'm just going to go and read off my mobile. There's a 4-way test we have in Rotary for anything we do. The first point is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? So that is a sort of hallmark way of thinking about all the things that we might want to get involved with or do, and about our standards in life or at home, etc. And I decided I would do a little bit of work looking around on, and I did this via AI. And I found these sort of 2 little lists that summarize both being a Rotarian and being a member of the lay community of St Benedict. And there's so many overlapping things. And most of you who know me well will know that community is always really important to me. I think that that's why when I left the Society of the Sacred Heart, I was utterly heartbroken, because I thought I had my community. And I've always struggled. I live alone now, and I absolutely loathe living alone. I have little Daisy sitting behind me on the chair, but she's not really any compensation for sharing a life with someone. But there are other benefits to living alone. It's not all bad news. And you know, I do get an opportunity to do things that other people in families and couples cannot always do, because there are commitments to other matters. So, you know, there's the good and the bad. But for example, if I look at the commitment to service on the Rotary side and service on the Benedictine side, both service is at the heart of both being a Rotarian and being a member of the lay community of St Benedict, or being a Benedictine, living out that Benedictine values in the world. I think another one that's very important would be hospitality, welcoming others with generosity, etc. And on the other side would be fellowship and networking, friendship. So friendship is at the heart of everything we do. As Rotarians, we always say that there's no point worrying about all the other things in Rotary unless you are good friends. So this weekend, for example, we've just spent the weekend with the Rotary Club of Évreux Saint-Tourin. And that's our twin club, because international understanding is one of the key tenets of being a Rotarian, understanding a different point of view. And we've been friends with this club for 25 years. And it's been a real struggle, because most of our club don't speak French and most of their club don't speak English. But we had the most amazing weekend together, because friendship built based on difference over all those years plays such amazing dividends. It's not a quick fix. It's about building relationships, understanding difference. Rotary is utterly non-political and peace-seeking, which I would say that we are in the lay community of St Benedict. And interfaith, we've just had Interfaith Week in the lay community, which has been so uplifting and rewarding. I still wandering around with some of the thoughts that I'd heard during the week. And, you know, it's such an important part of being a Rotarian. I'm very proud that in our Rotary Club we have Muslims, Jews, Christians, agnostics, and everything else in between. And it is fantastic that we do. It's what makes the tapestry so much richer. We're not all the same, and sometimes that means we don't all agree, but we have to listen and come to a negotiated agreement, sort it out between ourselves, really, without losing our rag over it. So I could go on talking about the differences, but I'm sure you can see by looking at this slide that there's so much that is so similar that in the end, sorry, before I go to that slide, I want to go to another one. I really want to say that Rotary is just like the lay community, but without the religion. And for me, it was an utter lifesaver at a time when life was difficult. I'm sure these slides are going to be put somewhere, so I have included a slide here that talks about all the myths that people have about Rotary, that are a whole load of bunkum. I'm not going to bother with them now, but I put them in for your benefit. So what do I do as a Rotarian, and how does this intersect with my faith and my vocation as a person? Well, I would say that everything I do as a Rotarian goes back to the very first slide that I showed, which I now can't find, which is about service, putting the other person first, making a difference, and caring for humanity. That's what we do in Rotary. As president of our club, and I've been president 3 times, I would say that certainly the 3rd time I was president, which was 2 years ago, I made the decision. We get to choose the charity that we support. And I chose Together Co, which is a charity based in Brighton that supports people who are lonely and socially isolated. And I've never forgotten what the CEO of Together Co said to me on our first meeting. She said, "You know, we live in the city," but she said, "We have a client in our list who has spoken so little that she's lost the use of her voice box." And do you know, I just sort of find that so sad that here we are in a city where we have, probably Brighton has more charities per square mile than anywhere else in the country. I don't know, that's not a statistically correct thing, by the way. But there's so much going on, and yet loneliness and social isolation is everywhere. So one of the things that I've tried to do through my work and through working with Together Co is to help with that. And I'm really delighted that actually this is, I'm just moving directly to a different slide. This is something that I lead on. And I'm absolutely delighted that just yesterday, and in fact, I have it here, we signed the contract with Together Co to work with us, so that we're not just working on our own creating difference, we're working with other charities. And this event is the only one I know in the country where we're bringing all the charities together so that they can showcase the volunteering that they do in the city. And I could talk for ages about the different pictures on here, but it just gives you a little snap of what we do. And I think I would just say I am very proud to be part of Rotary. It has made a huge difference to my life. These are all members of my club. That's the Lord Lieutenant there talking to our former president and our secretary. That's on the left-hand side. We have people not here with us tonight because they're out doing Santa's rounds with the lorry. And I wanted to finish with our community prayer. And last night, I can't remember who was organising the rota last night, but last night I was going to ask not to do anything because I have a sore throat. But I forgot to ask, and I was put on to read this prayer out. And I just love this prayer because it couldn't be more fitting that I was asked to do it last night, because every single line in this prayer is as relevant whether I'm a Rotarian or whether I'm as a member of the lay community of St. Benedict. And I just think that if I can live 5% of this prayer, then I shall be hopefully doing some good. And last thing I want to say is, of course, whenever we try to do something for others, we always receive so much more. And I think at that point, I'm going to stop.
Well, that's brilliant, Pip. Thank you. So once again, we open it to questions. Please use the button with the yellow hand and raise your hand, and then I can see who you are, and we can let you ask a question. Don't be shy. Yeah, Adam.
I'm going to do it. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. I'm going to do it again. I hope you don't mind if I just make a comment. So, Pip, thank you for that. Again, incredible testimony. But I just want to say that you've only done part one, and there is a part two, which is one of the most beautiful moments I experienced in the lay community, which was when you came in 2019 to the Northern group. And can I just tell that story?
You
Is that all
can.
right? There was Pip kept very quiet. It was actually Joe and myself who were doing witness. We were talking about being father and son, and Joe growing up gay, and it was very beautiful. Lots of people very touched by it. In any case, Pip kept very quiet, unusually quiet for her. And then on the Sunday, there was something that was said, and then Pip just burst into tears and said to everybody, "Why did nobody contact me in after 1994?" And then there was this wonderful moment of reconciliation, and Mary said, "We didn't know." So, in any case, it had a beautiful kind of ending through after the rain, the rainbow. But
Actually, you're quite right, Adam. But what made all the difference was that Mary Stocker said, she stood up and she said, on behalf of the lay community, I would like to apologize to you.
yeah.
And it was that meant that I could come back. And you're right, I haven't done part two and I'm not going to. But part two is still work in progress.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Pip, for sharing that with us all.
Have we any more questions or comments?
Liz, sorry, I can't. I'm on an iPad, so I can't see the put my hand up. Is it okay if I just say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry, it's not a question, but as a part of Pip's tribe, and I'm very proud to say that, and very privileged to be part of Pip's tribe. I just wanted to say, if I may, that both Pip, I had to drop off when the questions were being asked earlier for Aidan. But I just wanted to say that I remember when we talked about following in the footsteps of Care for Creation with Care for Humanity last year. And by the way, thank you so much, Liz, for curating this Advent season on behalf of the community. Just to say that this kind of testimony from Pip and from Aidan was exactly what I was hoping. Well, I knew that in our community we have people like this who live incredibly generous lives, and it just seemed a shame for that not to be shared. And I know it takes a bit of courage to do that. So I want to say a huge thank you to both of them, but I also want to say, doesn't it just show we have lights in our community and we shouldn't keep them hidden. So thank you so much to both of you, because but both of your talks I have found incredibly uplifting. So thank you so much.
Have we any more questions or comments? Yes, Peter S. again. Please speak.
Oh, I think
No,
Sister Julian afterwards.
I just want to follow on from what Tim was saying there, and I also have been immensely moved by hearing Pip and hearing Aidan this evening, but also I have been immensely moved by listening to some of the videos that are appearing now on the community website, following Elizabeth's initiative to invite people, and I just think they're amazing. And if you haven't listened to them yet, you need to go and make sure you do, because they are just absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much for that advert, Peter. Yes, that's what I was going to finish with. Well, no, but we've got another raised hand. So, Katie,
there's
please.
also Sister Julian there was waving her hand, I think.
We must let Sister Julian speak, I think, don't you? So if we let Sister Julian go first and then Katie, that's okay?
You'll have to unmute yourself. There we go. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you might be able to hear me, but you probably can't see. That's a bit better, isn't it? Well, Pip, I mean, I'm just in awe of listening to you and Aidan, and I'm sorry I was late in joining this because we were at Compline. But it's just absolutely super seeing you and catching up after decades since college, decades and decades. And I had no idea you were doing all these wonderful good works. I mean, I think that's just fantastic. And I just wanted to say that, and that I hope we can keep in touch and to find out more about what all this is about. I didn't know about Rotary and stuff. I've been in the monastery for God knows how long. And so one gets a little bit kind of out of touch with what people are doing. And I think this is just wonderful, absolutely fantastic. So I'd love to know more. And I think this is just absolutely that's all I can say. I'm just in awe of it all, and I'm going to keep you all in my very, very sort of poor prayers and all the rest of it. But in all these things that you're doing, I congratulate you all, and I think it's wonderful. It's lovely to meet you, to meet lots of people. I can see lots of faces at the moment. So if anybody ever comes to Stanbrook, our new monastery here up in North Yorkshire, in Was, then you will be all very, very, very welcome. And so, and come and see us. That would be fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm so pleased that you joined us this evening, especially as I chose to use that picture that you drew all those years ago. I think there was some other hands
yes,
up somewhere.
Katie had a hand up.
I want to know how your sore throat is.
What, mine?
Yes, she said you had a sore throat yesterday.
Well, I've got the strepsils and the drink all ready, but it seems to be a bit better today.
Very, very generous of you to do all this when your throat's hurting. Well,
it was worth it. And actually, it really, I think the thing about this, and I have been looking at those videos, is that what is really interesting is how many amazing talents we have in our community. And as you may not know, I'm running the summer gathering this summer, and I want to make sure that we highlight our talents and our gifts in our own community at the summer gathering. So watch this space, you may get a call.
Well, a huge thank you to Pip, of course, a huge thank you to the rest of you being here. And next week, we then have Tim, who's going to talk about his time in the West Bank. And I'm sure that will be absolutely fascinating as well. So same time, same place, 8 o'clock in St. Benedict's. I think we probably do need to remove ourselves now because people will be wanting to get ready for Compline. So we probably all need, I will close this meeting, and then if you're staying for Compline, you can come back in again shortly when they let you in. But thank you so much to Pip and Aidan. That was brilliant. And can I echo Tim's thing? You're getting these emails every day, members of the community. Please look at the videos, and we could still do with a few more contributions. So, let your light shine. Share what you're doing with everybody else.
I have just one word for Sister Julian. I do apologise this. The bird food is on its way. She will know what that means.
Yeah, she looks mystified, but I'm sure
She does, very.
Anyway, good night and God bless to everybody.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.